Welcome to the solo training series from the Academy of Self-Defense. I'm Sensei Leventis. We've been looking at classical technique and ways to pantomime them on your own for solo training. For this particular clip, we're going to be looking at the mugger's throw. So this is the first technique where students actually do a full throw off the back of somebody. And we do this from what's called a mugger's grip. Now, not sure where the name of the grip really came from, I guess back in the 60s. When this was formulated at the headquarters school, or what used to be the headquarters school in New Jersey. I guess there was a lot of muggings happening where people were choking from the rear. This is basically a rear naked choke. One part of a rear naked choke. Those of you that do a lot of BJJ, know that rear naked chokes come from the back. They're here. So that's kind of like we treat it as a one-arm rear naked choke. So we call it a mugger's grip. And the technique is called the mugger's throw. Okay? So like I said, you're being gripped from behind, and in this particular case, they're chest to back. Okay, so if I'm here, the uke is chest to back. They're not with their hips in, leaning me back, although we do have variations for that. This is classical technique. So now we're going to a classical technique with no grip on the wrist. This is from the mugger's grip. So if they're gripping me here, they're not pulling me back. If they're shorter than me, I'm dropping my weight to allow them to grab me correctly, and they're actively putting on a choke. Of course, we're not choking each other for real during class. This is not a choke defense per se, but it's a throw from a choke, from a rear naked choke. Okay? So if I'm here, I'll demonstrate it first from a couple angles. So imagine now someone grabbing me with their right arm this way. Okay? So So basically, as you can see, I'm throwing them across the shoulder they're gripping me from, and I'm throwing them across and down to the floor. And now, this technique from the ukemi perspective is not as devastating as you can think in class. People see this happen in class, like, oh, I'll never be able to fall like that, especially those people coming to us that have never taken a fall in their life. It's really one of the easiest falls, because as long as you're relaxed, and you're resting and giving all the uke your whole weight, you're basically just sliding off of them. So, and that leads me to say that this technique is not a loft. I'm not springing them off my shoulder and they're coming right over my head. We have a technique like that called the shoulder throw in the last set. But for the first set, this is one where they're literally sliding. And the best analogy I got was from my instructor, Mr. Weber, where he said, imagine you having a sack of something, let's say a sack of potatoes, and you're taking them off the truck, and you want to load them onto your loading dock, and you've got the sack of potatoes, and you're here. Now, would you try to swing that sack of potatoes over? Or would you just lean and let the sack of potatoes just slide off your back onto the loading deck, where you don't bruise and mess up your product, okay? So, I don't know, that's kind of an analogy I use as well. Again, I'm a visual person, so imagine that. So, in this case, our attacker is a sack of potatoes, okay? Anyways. Again, we're here. When they're grabbing me, I get wide enough to have a stable base. I don't want to be way too wide, because then I can't really move without hurting my knees, and I'm in a weird position afterwards. But kind of a jigatai, right? Getting low. I'm grabbing. First of all, remember this is a choke. So the first order of business, I got to make sure I don't get choked right away. So this is kind of grabbing the wrist and pulling down a little bit. And this is grabbing high up by the shoulder and bicep, doing the same thing. We're grabbing down to alleviate some pressure on the carotid, right? A rear naked choke, for the most part, is a blood choke. We're cutting off blood to the brain by compressing both carotids on each side, okay? It's not an air choke where we're applying straight pressure on the trachea and cutting off air supply, okay? Now, there might be a little bit of that, but generally this is a blood choke. So I need to pull elbows in so the pressure is all directed down. If I wing my elbows out, then there's not enough leverage there to accurately relieve the pressure. Okay, so I'm here. Now this is an important point. Okay, first major teaching point. I don't want to just grab by the crook of the elbow. Yeah, that's going to help stop the choke for a little bit. But when I go to turn, I'm disconnecting their upper body from me, if that makes any sense. Remember, I say this a lot in my classes. If I can control the head, I control the spine, which means I control the body. Now, I didn't come up with that. Hicks and Gracie, I heard him say that in the documentary or some lesson he was giving. And it made perfect sense to me when I heard that. Yeah, that's why we control the head a lot, because if I can control the head, that's the computer, number one. It controls the spine, which controls the body. It makes perfect sense. Okay? So I've been using that ever since I heard Hickson say that. Now, in this case, I really can't get to the head, but the closest thing, if I follow the line, head, shoulders. If I can control the shoulder, I control the spine as well. Not my first choice would be the head. Second choice is the shoulder. So how do I control the uke shoulder? The attacker shoulder is I grab as close to the bicep, right here, which attaches the shoulder, which attaches as close and controls the spine. So it makes sense, right? So this is the crook of the elbow. This does the majority of relieving the pressure of the choke. This is here and I'm tight. So they're grabbing me with their right arm, so I'm going in the direction that the grip is happening. So if the grip is happening this way, I don't want to throw this way, right? Because there's no leverage there. I might be able to move away, but I'm not going to affect the throw. So I'm going this way. So if they grab me with their right arm, this is the uke's arm, I'm throwing in the same direction their fist or their hand is pointing to. Okay? So I'm here, crook of the elbow, shoulder, get low. Now when I get low, I want to put my center line in my butt underneath theirs. So I'm slightly lifting them up, and the uke should be their weight should be just coming up on their toes. I'm not trying to lift all their weight on my back. It's another mistake beginners make, is I'm not lifting all their weight on my back. I'm not doing that. What if you're a lot smaller? What if you're 100 pounds and there's a 300-pound person? You're going to be able to lift them? Doubtful, okay? Not with any kind of grace and clarity of technique, that's for sure. So I want to be here, and I'm digging underneath, and now you are at a little bit of an angle. I can't do this one straight up and down. And I'm bringing my hip underneath theirs, and I'm lifting up on their toes. Once I'm here, I'm not just throwing here. Remember my tripod analogy, right? If I throw out here, again, number 2 major mistake, is if I go to throw here, and I stop here, look at my shoulder pointing to the empty point of the triangle, then I'm going to, how many of you have done this mugger throw, especially in the beginning, when you did this, and you did this? That's because I didn't line up my center line to the strength of the stance. Remember, the ending stance here is here, right? This is the strong part of the stance. So I throw to my knee, and you're never going to be able to do this unless you're super flexible. I will never be able to do it, but my shoulder, like I want to tag my knee with my shoulder. That's the direction, that's the line it's taking. So I'm here. Now notice my center line the whole time, I'm utilizing the strength of the stance, structure to my benefit. If I vary just a little bit here, I can still lose my balance, okay? So a little tip I got from my instructor, Mr. Weber, and he might have said this 100 times, but it didn't stick with me until I heard it the last time he told me. And then the light bulbs went up, the sun came through the clouds, and all was well with the mugger's throw. I never really again lost my balance on that, okay? And you have those moments in your training, for sure, everyone does. So that being said, I'm here. So the trick that he gave me, the detail, was when I pivot, bring your chest over your knee as quick as possible. Even up here, if I'm here, I'm very strong, I can feel it here, right? And remember, this is a slice of time, this is not happening, and I'm waiting. So I don't want to rest to have the person's weight resettle on my back. That's not happening here. I'm just slowing it down, chest goes over the knee, and this drops, and I'm here, and you can see how the uke would just slide and fall right here, okay? And here. So watch again, I'll do it from the rear angle, and I'm being gripped with the right. Now how do you finish this technique? As your shoulder goes down, just come back up, and there's your finish. Length, I've been asked about this a lot. How wide from your heel to your knee? It varies. I don't want this, because obviously you're going to be like tiptoeing on a fine line, right? So I want to be wide enough to where I'm stable, okay? I don't want my foot out here and my knee here, because that's going to magnify the issue of the tripod, not having a third leg. So they're kind of lined up. They're not in line with each other, because that's awkward. It's kind of off a little bit, but they're kind of all facing the same line, the same direction. Okay? So that is the mugger's throw. Not a hard technique once the students get those little details. Okay? So, one thing I did mention, let me go through this one more time. I forgot one little detail. Is when you're here and you're underneath, make sure you keep that chin tucked. Again, that's going to help stop the choke. Compress, that's how in BJJ anyways, you try to stop some of the choke. You tuck the chin and you alleviate the real estate of the carotid artery, if that makes any sense. So you're here, tuck, over the knee right away, drop the knee, let it slide off your back, and come back up. That's the mugger's throw. Hope you're enjoying these. Next up, we'll look at the whip throw and the come along. Thank you.